Welcome, dear friends. We are happy to have you here with us as we continue our international discussions after the conference Global Crisis Time for the Truth, which took place on December 4th, when millions of people around the world witnessed for the first time in the entire history of humankind such an unprecedented large-scale event. This conference united people from 180 countries in a 12-hour live broadcast that uncovered the most relevant and vital topics of our contemporary society, such as the catastrophic situation in our ecology, the mind-blowing facts about the real reasons of climate change, and such a shameful side of consumer society as human slavery. The truth was voiced openly and honestly to the entire humanity. People stopped being silent as time for the truth has come. This conference was organized by volunteers and simultaneously interpreted into 100 languages. People who participated in the preparation of the conference are the true heroes, because they are the ones who selflessly and devotedly stand for the entire humanity, stand for the life of every human on the planet Earth. The conference caused a huge resonance among people from all over the world. So many scientific facts, eyewitness reports, and tremendous amount of analytical data has been presented to people in such a clear, honest, and comprehensive manner. So much feedback was received in the comments that and in the letters that gave us a clear understanding that we need to continue voicing the truth. And that is why I am extremely honored to invite you all to the international online forum, Global Crisis, We Are People, We Want to Live, that will be held on the platform of the Creative Society Project on the 7th of May, 2022. So again, welcome everybody. My co-host today is Alexei. Alexei, could you please let us know who is with us today here?
Yes, thank you, Robert. Thank you. And of course, hello, dear viewers. As usually, we continue uncovering the topics raised during the conference, as well as sharing our impressions of this significant event. Please let me introduce our dear guests for today. So, Sabhe Mustafa, who is originally from Syria, but now residing in Turkey. He is member of Social Value International, as well as founder of Market Leaders International and social entrepreneur, and also educationist. And Terkuma Edmond from Nigeria, planning, research, and policy analyst at National Board for Technology Incubation. Welcome, dear guests.
Well, greetings. Thank you very much for the invitation, and thank you very much for the introduction. I'm glad to be with you. So it's nice to be with you, Liam. Thank you, dear hosts.
Thank you so much.
Dear Sabhe, what were your feelings after watching the conference on December 4th? Do you think it is important for people to act and start changing our society peacefully but consistently?
Okay, well, thank you very much again. And we are here for a human, for a social mission. So before I start speaking, I'd like to dedicate the first minute to commemorate all the victims of the wars, the conflicts, including the people in Syria, my country, and commemorate and pray for the souls of those who were lost in the natural disasters in the USA and in the floods in Southeast Asia and all over the world. People who were lost in the forest fires everywhere in Turkey and Europe. So that it pains my heart when I remember all those victims and feel unable to do anything to save those lives. So when I speak about the lives, I don't mean only the human lives. because for me, animal life is important. Tree life is important as the importance of the human life. We share the same habitat. So if we don't care about each other, nobody will care about us. And there was a special occasion, a sad occasion, two occasions recently. Humanity lost two human fellows, two great ones. I pray for the soul of Reverend Desmond Tutu, whom we lost last December. May his soul rest in peace. And also humanity lost one of the great Oscar winners, Sidney Poitier. So we keep losing those people who left their fingerprints on the wall of history. This is my introduction. It's a little bit sad, but I hope that together we can make it happier. If I may go to the conference, well, it's a very important movement in history, and I believe it's a historical necessity now to follow initiatives like Creative Society. Humanity needs those initiatives to save maybe the last chance for us on Earth. So this is my impression about the Creative Society movement and project. And I'll give the floor to my colleague, Liam. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mustafa. Thanks a lot. And of course, it's pity to lose any person, anytime. And unfortunately, individually, we cannot do a lot. But the good thing about all this is that together we can do everything. We can change everything. And now it's time. It's time to do this. And I wonder, Edmond, what are your impressions of the conference? What moved you the most? And these international discussions, which we have almost every day, they show that more and more people, they cannot just sit, they want to act. And in your opinion, Edmond, what do you think? Can these conferences and these discussions be that impulse that ignite people and make them finally unite?
Thank you very much for the opportunity to be on the program once again. I want to say that the conference, Global Crisis, Time for the Truth, was very revealing because the information that was painstakingly, researched about by experts all around the world and brought to the knowledge of us who ordinarily may not have been able to access this information because the mainstream media does not air such information. To me, that was very key because information gives you knowledge. If you're informed, you're knowledgeable. And when you're knowledgeable, you're able to address issues very objectively, find solutions to them, and then there's security. Because without knowledge, without information, there can be security. And without security, there's despair. You just throw your hands to the wind and leave everything to fate. So that situation alone, it's not good. Human life is very important, and the value of it, it's primary. So to me, the revelations that came from that meeting, that conference, they were the high point of everything for me. Because in there, I could identify on practical basis issues that are going on even in my country, Nigeria, issues that I am firsthand aware of, issues of, climate change, food crisis, refugee situations, widespread killings for the sake of land grabbing, hostage situations with bandits, terrorism all across the country. These have brought a lot of fear and anxiety in the hearts of people who ordinarily were living in peace. They were content with life, even without the very sophisticated equipments and extravagant forms of modern day living. They were content to live as communal people in peace, upholding the value of the human life above every other thing else. That value has disappeared today. And when I heard from experts from the conference, I could deduce clearly that the current structure of our modern day society, it's a fraud. It's a structure that is built on inequality, injustice, wickedness, and profiteering at the expense of human life. That, to me, is a no-no. And the prospects of building a creative society is what has spurred me on, because I see a ray of hope where society can clearly deviate from this current trend of destructive existence, where we can have a more meaningful life and leave that for posterity and the world at large.
We will check whether Edmond is able to come back and continue, because his speech was very touching to me. I could feel his pain. It's quite important to listen to him and to hear what he says.
Yes, thank you. So the information was very explicit regarding alternative sources of energy, particularly green energy, the implications of the creation of these sources.
In the meanwhile, we can continue with our discussion. And I just wonder, Mustafa, what were the most touching, stressing, shocking moments in the conference for you? I mean,
Yeah, well, this is a very tough question to answer because all the topics in the conference are equally important to me. And I cannot say this is less important than the other ones. But maybe I'm a little bit subjective in here. So I'll speak about two interesting points for me. The first point is about the situation of refugees. And the other one is about the climate change action. So two important topics for me. The others are equally important, but I don't have the expertise and I can't cover all these points. So I'd like to start with the personal situation of a refugee. The Syrian refugee crisis is a world crisis. It's a global crisis. And the desperate lifeboats started landing on the British coast. The Iraqi crisis, refugee crisis, impacted as far as Australia and Canada. So the refugee crisis is a global challenge. The whole world is counting and calculating the impact of these refugee waves on the world's economy and society and so on. I'm not going to speak numbers because, honestly speaking, we are fed up with being treated like numbers. 4 million refugees, Syrian refugees in this country, 3 in that country. And, well, we're not numbers, we are human beings. So inside each one of us, inside each digit of these million numbers, there is a human being, there is a soul. So I decided to speak about the refugee from inside, not from outside. So if you remember, there was a little boy named Alan Kurdi. He's a Kurdish boy from Syria, a Kurdish brother from Syria. just a little boy who tried with his family to reach safety in Europe, but he was drowned by the Aegean Sea. And I thought to myself, well, who knows what loss was this? He might have been somebody like Steve Jobs or somebody like other good people who served humanity. So please, I call on the world to stop counting us as numbers. We are human beings. Inside each of us, there are hopes for the future. There are good intentions to serve the humanity and the global community. Imagine that I got killed on the border while fleeing the conflict into Turkey. Nobody will hear me today. Nobody will know about the sonnets that I'm writing and the commitment about the global causes. Nobody will learn about the Mark Twain impact calculator, which I'm developing now with social value impact. So we are working on global projects to serve the humanity. So a refugee is not a number. A refugee is a human being. And the best thing that we can do is to help those refugees in their homelands. We don't expect to be happy and tense by the border of Hungary, for instance. I'm not happy to see my Syrian compatriot getting tripped by the camera woman on the Hungarian border. So please help us in our countries. Stop counting us like numbers. This is my message to the world. Today, I'm a refugee because of conflict. Who knows, tomorrow anybody can be a refugee of a natural disaster. The whole world is threatened by tornadoes, by rising level of the sea. 1/3 of Holland, there are estimations that in 100 years, 1/3 of Holland will be under the sea level. So where do those people go? So let's unite facing this challenge. This is my message, and this is what I want to speak about. Yeah, I'm happy that our friend Liam is here. So let's make use of his presence. Yeah, you can get me anytime you want. Yeah.
Sorry for the break in network. Okay, so I was talking about the alternative sources of energy and the seeming hype about it, because we are made to understand that it's 100% green energy. But from what we gathered from the conference, I learned that it's not 100% green. It has other components that are not renewable at all. And then how do you dispose of this at the end of the day? So it brings us back to the same point, the very beginning again of the whole problem. So they are not really addressing the issue per se. They're only profiteering out of it. They're only making money out of it. So that alone is deception to me. And I found it something that we need to really talk about so that people will know, and then we'll find more creative ways of arriving at the solution of energy on our planet. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, we will look deeper into these topics. We will look deeper into these topics right after the short video that we will have a look now about the conference.
4 months have passed since the time of the previous conference, and over this relatively short period, we have seen how much the progression of climate change and environmental degradation has accelerated. It's important not to remain silent, because this survival of all humanity is at stake. It is time for the truth.
We are now in a world where every single day, somewhere in the world, a climate extreme event is going to take place that will break the world record of that particular place.
The European floods this summer or the Western North America heat wave this summer. Both of those extreme events were due to the jet stream reacting in very unusual ways, in ways that climate models did not predict would happen.
When I'm out in the field, I always hear people say that I never thought it would happen to me, and they're always surprised. Can you imagine how devastated you would be if you lost everything that you owned? If you watched the people around you, the people that you love, struggle and suffer or even die?
We have to understand we're one people on one planet, and it's up to us together to solve these problems.
We cannot leave it to our leaders. The leaders have shown that they are not up to the task. The leaders think of themselves as leaders of their own country. They don't care about the rest of the world.
The problem right now is we've all surrendered a certain amount of our power to centralized authority, and they're trying to use that to take over everything. And they've been using this excuse of anthropogenic global warming in order to try to consolidate their wealth and control. So we've got to just completely abandon and expose that.
The discussion about the climate is narrowed down to the reduction of CO2 and global warming gases. And I think the problem is much broader than that.
There's a widespread belief that climate change is a result of human activity. This is reflected in the 5th and the 6th report of the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. But these beliefs are wrong.
The world's governments, through the UN, formed the UN Framework Convention on Climate Change. Now, you would think that would be studying climate change, but they specified that you study the human causes of climate change. So they ruled out all natural factors. They said, no, we're not going to study whether the sun plays a role. We're not going to study whether volcanoes play a role. We're not going to study whether ocean current shifts play a role. And we really don't understand clouds, so we're not going to count them much. What we're going to study is human CO2 emissions, because that's what we can get a handle on. That's not the way science is supposed to work.
Anthropogenic global warming is a grandiose scientific scam of the 20th century.
Green energy is not green at all. And wind power is not green because wind farms require enormous amounts of concrete and metal to construct, disturb wildlife, harm human health with noise pollution, kill hundreds of thousands of birds each year, pollute our air and water supply. We pay high prices for something that will never meet our needs.
We need to build a humanity that lives like a beehive, and we have to build a society that puts human life first. If we combine our scientific, technological, and intellectual resources, we can solve the problem of climate change.
If we fail, we face the real possibility that if we don't get our act together and start preparing for this cataclysm, we face the very real possibility of extinguishing human life on the Earth. A supervolcano is quite capable of completely taking a species out. And I say, if we come together correctly, if we really put our hearts and our minds to the task of preparing correctly, then we could not only survive what's coming, we could be the first species on this nice little blue marble to thrive through the next cyclical destruction.
Let's follow the Creative Society's survival guide. The 3 easy steps. Learn more, spread information, and unite to build a creative society.
After all, this world is given to all mankind with only one purpose: to live and be healthy, happy, to create and not to destroy.
The Creative Society is a project of everyone. We do not collect any donations or funds that disappear in the deep pockets. Instead, each person acts in their abilities and uses resources they already have. It is your opportunity to be a part of the solution and live out your superhero potential.
Yes, definitely. We can all be heroes, but we need to start acting right now if we want to be in time before it's too late. And today, for various reasons, too many people have already had to leave their native cities, villages, countries, and even continents. Even official figures are too high, but the truth is that a lot of people have not been recognized as refugees at all. Though they had to move far away from their homes, they lost everything, and too many of them even lost their lives. For some individuals, some groups of people and organizations, such people are just inconvenient circumstances that spoil their statistics or their plans. And that's it. Nobody cares about these people. It's if they don't even exist, on this planet. Of course, this should not happen in a normal society. And it's obvious that it can't go on like this anymore. But the truth is that if we don't do something about it right now, we all will become refugees. I mean, those few of us who may survive when the climate goes completely crazy. Mustafa, you've already touched the topic of refugees. You've already touched your story. We know that you are a refugee and you left your home. But we need to persuade everyone on this globe that it's time to unite. It's time to open our eyes and to accept that the problem exists. What would you say to those people who do not believe that the issue of refugees exists or is really urgent today? And what would you say to those who know the real scope of the trouble, but they still close their eyes and pretend that it's none of their business,
Well, thank you very much. It's a very touching question. After all those years, 10 years of the Syrian conflict, and after all those waves of refugees crossing the European borders, crossing the Aegean Sea, there are still people who don't believe that there is a refugee crisis in Syria. How can I convince them if they don't open their eyes and watch what's going on the news? I can't convince them with numbers, to be honest with you. You can just Google all the reports of the UNHCR and see how many. They know every single person, male, female, how old are they. But this is not the point. A refugee should be treated like a human fellow. Okay. You can't treat refugees like numbers. If you close your eyes on this fact, there is a time bomb here in Turkey. By the way, I'd like to thank the Turkish community for hosting all this huge number of Syrian refugees. But for how long can they support us? There will be a day that the Turkish community will say, enough is enough. Where shall we go then? I can tell you, we can cross the sea, we can cross the borders, and we can reach everywhere even to Australia and Canada, unless the international community moves now to help us return and reconstruct our country. This is the point. Now, this is the fact that everybody is ignoring. I can tell you, everybody welcomes a well-educated refugee to come to their country. Okay, come and help us learn and educate the youth here in this country, and then they can go. An educated refugee is better than extremist refugee. So we are not only facing this injustice from the world, but also from the inner injustice inside our community as refugees. Extremism is terrifying us, because when people get desperate, they can do everything. When people lose hope in the future, it's easy for them to turn into terrorists, to be criminals and do whatever humanity is ashamed to do. So this is the point. Yeah.
Yes, I agree with you, because the refugee crisis is facing everybody. Everybody's facing the refugee crisis, whether you are on the receiving end or the other side. Another part of the refugees, that is another continent that has a lot of refugees, is also Africa. And it is important to bring truthful information to people. So I want to ask Liam also about the fact, if he faced, or from his personal experience in Nigeria, that what can he tell us about this information?
Thank you very much. Well, in Nigeria, for over 10 years now, the activities of terrorist organizations, particularly in the northeast of Nigeria, that is Borno State, Yobe State, and all the neighboring states, their activities have completely displaced people from their ancestral homes, killed a lot of them, and made human life virtually nothing at all, virtually nothing. You find a young boy strapped with bombs and pushed into a mosque or pushed into a public place to blow up human beings. All for what? For power? For show of force? For ideological differences? You know? So the thing is it's so rampant. The government is doing its best. It's fighting it. A lot of resources have been pumped in that direction, but yet, compared to what is being given to arrest the situation, the magnitude, the scale of the crisis is much. Then you have the farmer headers situation there. From my state, where I come from, Benue State, if you're arriving into that state from the capital city of Abuja, it's a very sorry sight. You have internally displaced persons housed in areas that, appalling. It's now that some international NGOs came with government support, and then they made some provision like public conveniences and all the rest, and provided some educational support to children within these camps. But I tell you that in 5 years ago, it was really horrible. When the rainfall comes, you can't even imagine the hell these humans go through. And this is your fellow human being suffering like this. All because another human doesn't look at that one as a human being. They don't consider that we are of the same species, we are of the same origin, and so we are entitled to life. So such differences have really compounded our situation in the country, and it's spilling over to other neighboring countries also, day by day. It calls for a more lasting, a more comprehensive solution, a solution that cuts across national boundaries, cuts across individual experts. It's a collective effort that has to bring the best in our society globally to come together and chart means of how we address this situation. Not for selfish reasons, because, of course, as it is going on, a couple of people are profiteering from it. The crisis provides opportunity for wealth creation for others, unfortunately. But this is the sad thing about the consumerist format of society. So to me, that is my take on that. And I hope that with this ray of light coming from the conference that we witnessed, a lot will be done, and within the quickest time possible, to address these, sad realities that we are living with day by day. Thank you.
Thank you, Edmond, so much. And I suggest that now we watch a short video about the film which was presented at the conference. This film was prepared by volunteers of the Creative Society project, and this film is about refugees. We touched this topic several times during our international discussion today, so I believe that it will be very interesting and useful for our viewers to get some more understanding about what film was presented at the conference.
Why is there such inhuman treatment of people? I was thinking about it and decided to figure it out.
You will never spend a month without being attacked with a xenophobic attack, because they say as a foreigners we are stealing their work. I've lost that hope of being in the great society. I don't know, I've lost that hope, because seeing the way that people are being killed, seeing the way that people are being shot in my eyes.
A child can be sold many times. I remember one day I came across the story of a girl who was, she was Turkish. She had been sold 17 times, and she had been trafficked from one country to another 17 times, and she had experienced only rape.
I also sat in many auctions as a customer, as an undercover when I was doing the undercover. There where we were sitting for the auctions, 9-year-old girl, 10-year-old girl, as per the demands. So the trade called the first time sex. Whenever the auctions will happen, new girls arrive in the trade, so they put the auctions. So who will bid the last demand, the money, that person only will use that became full night for his choice.
The business that is made of spare parts, the human spare parts. How many children have been transferred from one place to another and then being operated on for some rich guys in different parts of the world to get a kidney or get something else from their bodies against their will.
Black market, traffickers, mafia is part of this economy that is ruling the world. So what else I can say? That I only see that another possibility is to spend money instead of constructing walls like we are doing in Europe.
In our society, human life has no value. How is it possible that instead of help, people encounter violence, aggression, abuse, and slavery? This is not a migration crisis, but this is a crisis of humaneness.
People, by looking at the existing legal frame, will not ever be entitled asking for protection. Because you will ask them which country you're coming from, they would say there is no country. I had a country called X, but the country now is underwater. Or I had a village and this village is being totally destroyed or disappearing.
It turns out that there are still no effective programs for the resettlement of refugees. For so many years, the United Nations has been working. For so many years, the Refugee Rights Commission has been working. So many humanitarian organizations and NGOs around the world have been working, but there are no working, established or adopted programs on how to work with these refugees. There are none. And the Refugee Commission itself admits this.
Now refugees are forced to leave their homes. They face condemnation and cruelty. They are left alone with their misfortune because of the consumerist format of society. Tomorrow's climate catastrophes could be upon us as well. Answer yourself honestly. Are you ready to face what refugees face? Are you sure you won't be in their shoes? That you and your loved ones won't have to go through what they're going through.
You know, looking outside the window, sometimes it's quite difficult. It's really hard to believe that we can change at least something in this world, because so many horrible things are happening at the same time around the whole globe that sometimes it's really hard to believe that the change is possible, the real change is possible. But even taking this into account, we need every single person in this world to be involved in this change, because this change is only possible when we all act together. And it is very important for all of us to speak up, because if we speak up, then somebody on the other end of the globe can hear us, and our words can be that thing that will change somebody's mind. That's why I want to ask your opinion, Mustafa. Do you think that today, even taking into account the real situation, when the driving factor is the profit and benefits of individuals, is it possible to unite and build the creative society? Do you believe that we still are humane enough to make this real, to make this happen?
Well, it's very interesting. You know, after 10 years of conflict in my country, I'm still hopeful. I'm full of hope that tomorrow is better, that yes, we can do something. And now all humanity is facing a real danger that threatens the existence of the very kind of man. So why not? Uniting is a necessity now. It's a need. But, you know, we are not a herd of sheep that we just unite and move. We need to move logically. Now let's forget about this emotional approach of these challenges and think logically how to create or how to establish the creative society. Yes, we can do if we define the pillars of the creative society. Thank you very much. You already defined 8 foundations for the creative society. But personally, I have another approach. It completes the creative society's approach. And maybe others have their own approach. They can complete us. If we unite and exchange the expertise and the data, we can do it. So if you allow me, I propose to create or establish the creative society on 4 pillars. The first pillar is belief, to believe in God. It's enough to believe that God is there in the skies. And we are humans. We are only humans. And without God, we are nothing. So this is the belief that we need. If we believe like this, we will transcend all the differences between our societies. We will overcome all the religious differences and all the racial differences. Yes, we need to believe. And after we believe, we need to work. But not all work is useful. We need to do good deeds. So do good only principle. So these are the first two pillars of creative society as I see them. And the third one is to speak the truth. What's the truth? Truth is, I'll refer to an English poet, and I remember John Keats. And he said, beauty is truth. Truth, beauty. That's all you know on earth, and all you need to know. So truth is something beautiful. Let's speak the truth. Now we are facing another global war. It's more fierce and more dangerous than the war against terrorism. This is a war against nature. So in this case, we don't have to polarize ourselves as with and against. Let's do our best. I know you are so beautiful speaking the truth. And I'm really amazed by the beauty of the organization, the beauty of the soul of volunteering to serve the mission of creative society. So let's be beautiful. And then we'll attract those celebrities, not by attacking them or hanging their names on our wall of shame. And I'm sure they are doing their part. So they are also, Bill Gates has his foundation, and he's fighting Ebola, and he's fighting, I don't know, this disease for the kids. And Angelina Jolie is doing her part as well. She is ambassador of goodwill. So let's attract those people and the others, not by attacking them. Anyway, this is my opinion, and maybe a final word. I'll refer and quote the late Reverend Desmond Tutu when he said, "Without forgiveness, there is no future."
Yes, I understand your point, and that's why in the conference we said that we will give it even a bigger effort to persuade everybody and to attract everybody to help us build the creative society, even the celebrities.
Then we are on the right way.
Edmond, as you said, truth is important. What made you to join and to help spread this information among the people around the world, that it is important to build it, to unite and to build a creative society?
Yeah, you see, I want to say that a lot of who I have become in my adult life, beginning from childhood, owe so much to not only environmental factors and education, but to a deeply personal recognition that there is a supreme power that created us all, and we owe our existence to him. I say him because I'm a Christian. So I personalize that power. Now, the goal of the entire creation from my informed position as a Christian is that we should have life and have life more abundantly. But when you contrast that with what is available in our everyday society, just like what George Orwell wrote a couple of years ago in his novel, The Animal Farm, they say all men are equal, but some are more equal than others. So you see a stratification of society along power greeds, and this stratification is dangerous. But sadly, that's the way the nature of consumer society is, because you can not have everybody at the same level of intellectual advancement, at the same level of moral advancement. Some are brutes naturally, owing to the fact of the contradictions in the human nature. They hate what is good. They hate what is just. They hate what is right. To them, such things are weaknesses, and they don't see how they're fitting within a system that annihilates such traits out of it. So people like that need to be appealed to. They need to be conscientized, let me put it that way. Brought to a point where they recognize that within them lies a divine spark that came from the Creator that made them. And that spark, it's the same in every created human being walking upon the face of the earth. The color will change, the language will change, the national boundaries will be different, the education will change, but that spark is the source of life, is the true essence of our humanity and even divinity, because that part of us is the noblest part of all. It exemplifies the qualities of what we are aspiring to build now. The society that is founded upon love, upon justice, upon truth, upon fairness, upon equality and prosperity. So these things, to me, owing to the fact of my religion, owing to the fact of my profession as a Christian, and owing to the fact of the kingdom of God that we want to be built on earth as it is in heaven, I was drawn to the creative society. The idea harmonizes with my ideals. It harmonizes with my spirituality. It harmonizes with my values. And I know I'm not speaking for myself alone, because I know majority of people want this. Everybody wants love, and they want to be loved. They want to live in peace. They want to live in harmony. They want to live in prosperity. Nobody wants to be poor. A society where you have a few people controlling enormous resources, and these resources, to an extent, they cannot even exhaust it in their lifetimes. But they deprive a greater majority of this basic living, amenities and joys of life. Just for what? To consolidate power, to further disintegration, and to assert dominance over others in the society. That's just all. So if we have an alternative whereby these power relations will be put in their right perspective, because I know that there is nowhere on the face of the earth where you have 2 or 3 human beings come together that you will not have a question of power relations. There has to be that. Someone knows more than another. Someone is stronger than another. And the stronger one would definitely want to naturally exert his power over others. But when you now appeal to the most subtle and noble aspects of the human, we begin to bring a sort of reorientation, a sort of enlightenment, a sort of understanding to the basic things that unite us all. That we can still have our differences. We can still have our strengths and our intellectual powers and our monies and all that. But then if we recognize that within each of us, there beats a heart and life that came from one single creator, we will be able to come together and build a society that we'll be proud of and we'll be happy to live in. So to me, this is what drew me closer. Some, even if it dominates them, there are moments of reclusion where they sit down and introspect. And in such moments, they penetrate deep to that source of life that is resident deep within us all. And there they hear the voice of truth. They hear the promptings of right. They get the stirrings of justice. And they are ennobled, even if they do not want to pursue it. The ideas come to them. Now, if such people are encouraged, if they find a society where a majority of people are leaning towards these noble qualities of the human, they will find themselves isolated. And before long, they will want to be part of what is happening. The excitement will bring them in. And more so when they see that the technological and scientific advancements are bringing in results, bringing in positive changes that are helping the environment, helping us live prosperously, helping us live healthily, they will be encouraged. So to me, this is very primary and very key.
Thank you, Liam. Dear guests, I would like to thank you so much for joining this discussion today, for your sincere answers, thoughts, and ideas. I'm sure our viewers loved this discussion. And as Liam said, we are all humans.
And Mustafa, I like the expression which you mentioned so much, that the truth is beautiful. And in this sense, from that point of view, I can definitely agree that the beauty will save the world. So the truth will save the world. And, thanks to you, Mustafa, and thanks to you, Edmond, for your beautiful speeches, for your beautiful answers today. I definitely love today's international discussion. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And dear viewers, we would like to remind you that on May the 7th, 2022, there will be another unprecedented event organized on the platform of the Creative Society Project. This will be International Online Forum, Global Crisis. We are people, we want to live. The participation of every person on the planet is now important. So please don't miss the chance to join this large-scale international online forum and to be the change yourself. Please join everyone. To find out more information about this event, please visit creativesociety.com website. Just go to the section International Conferences and you will find all information there. Thank you everyone for being with us today, and we're looking forward to your comments, topic suggestions and questions for the next international discussions, which we will have tomorrow and every day after that. You can contact us via YouTube, via Instagram and Twitter pages of the Creative Society Project, as well as you can email us at info@creativesociety.com.
Yes, until recently, we had no answer to the question of how to unite, and it seemed impossible to us. But today, there is an answer. It is in changing the consumerist mindset to the creative one, in choosing to develop, choosing to survive, in choosing to live. If we really want to live, we must act. Already now, we must change the format of society, create conditions for scientists, and give them the opportunity to work. When there are no vested interests left, every scientist will have one goal: to find a way for all of humanity to survive, to build a creative society in order to preserve humanity, That's what should be the demand from society. So let's create that demand, we as people. Let's look together for ways to inform humanity, to come up with new effective ways. In the past, we had no technical ability to unite, but we do now. Friends, while our fate is in our hands, we should use this chance. Thank you very much for joining today, and looking forward to see you on the next international discussions.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Edmond.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alexei. Thank you, Robert. It's been a pleasure being with you.
It was a pleasure.
A real pleasure. A real pleasure. Thank you.